Welcome back to the Sports News Analysis YouTube channel, where I'm always breaking down the hot sports topics of the day. My name is Mike. By now, most of you have probably heard about the Elvis Dumervil Denver Broncos paperwork situation, where some late paperwork allowed Dumervil to become an unrestricted free agent. But now the question is, he's a free agent. Where does he end up? Which team would be most interested in his services, and where does he most make sense from a cap point of view and from a scheme point of view? I've kind of targeted three teams that I think he would make sense for. A lot of teams would want a guy like Dumervil, but remember, he's going to cost probably $7-8 million a year. So which teams can afford him is really the big question. I've zeroed in on three teams besides the Broncos. It's always a possibility he makes amends with the Broncos, signs with them, and sort of moves forward. But three other teams here. First, the New England Patriots. The Patriots have the cap room. They saved money on the Talib signing, and by not signing Wes Welker. So they have some money available. They need an edge pass rusher in the worst way. They'll team him up with Chandler Jones, their second-year guy now out of Syracuse that they picked in the first round last year. And I just think he makes a whole lot of sense for the Patriots. Again, if the Patriots are willing to sort of creak open that wallet and pay the guy. Next team is the that I think would make sense for Dumervil is the Atlanta Falcons. The Falcons cleared a lot of cap space with the releasing of some pretty high-profile players, John Abraham, Dante Robinson, Michael Turner. They signed Steven Jackson. They get Tony Gonzalez back in the fold. Now I look for the Falcons to make some moves defensively, and I think on that turf, in the defensive scheme that the Falcons play, Dumervil is a perfect fit. And I think Thomas Dimitroff probably knows that. He's probably trying to work out some cap-friendly deal to see if they can bring Dumervil in. But I think, especially playing on the turf, playing inside, 4-3 defense with him coming off one edge and then them getting another pass rusher either in free agency or the draft, you begin to sort of build up that Falcons defense to hopefully be good enough to match the offense, which I think is the primary goal now in Atlanta. I look at them being in a similar situation to what the Colts were in with Peyton Manning. Let's get that defense up to a level where it's good enough that our high-powered offense can sort of get us to a Super Bowl, basically. The last team that I don't hear anyone talking about that I think should be interested in Dumervil is the Cincinnati Bengals. I think the Bengals are so notoriously cheap as an organization that no one even thinks of them as possible destinations for free agents. The Bengals have a great deal of cap room. Yes, Michael Johnson signed his tender, but they can still afford to bring a guy in like Dumervil, more than pay him what he wants, $7-8 million a year. It would give them another guy to rush the passer in a very competitive division where they're locking horns with the Steelers and the Ravens and a new look Browns team now 6 times a year. So let's get a pass rusher opposite Johnson, keep on building this young defense, and see where we can go from here. If I'm part of the Bengals, they very rarely make a blockbuster move, very rarely spend big in free agency. But this is a guy in Dumervil, the level of pass rusher he is, that does not come along very often this late in free agency, especially due to a paperwork issue. If it wasn't for a paperwork issue, reports are he was going to agree to that $8 million a year. Agree to an $8 million a year salary reduction and kind of go on with the Broncos. So who knows what happened with that paperwork situation, but I think the Bengals should take advantage of it, spend some money for their fans, and finally get, a guy to go along with Johnson, and again, to round out that defense of a young team that's on the rise. And I think, sometimes you bring in that veteran component at a position that you are maybe not great at, right? And it makes a big difference. But remember, the Bengals were one of the top teams in the league last year as far as sacking the quarterback. So imagine if they add to that, how good they'd be. And I just think it would be huge in that division for them to stake claim and say, look, we made the playoffs 2 years in a row. We're not peaking here. We're moving on from here. We're going to be a lot better even next year. But those are the three teams, besides the Broncos, I could see Dumervil going to. Either the Bengals, the Falcons, or the Patriots. Let me know what you guys think, as always, in the YouTube comments. Hit me up on Twitter as well, at @SNewsAnalysis. And guys, be sure to subscribe to my channel. I upload between 5 and 10 sports talk videos per day, mostly about the NFL. Thanks again, guys, and have a great night.